Hello, and welcome back to Get the Scoop with Smirks podcast. I'm Elisa Lewis, and with me today is Zach Schwind. I'm excited to break down ingredient and product trends at ExpoWest 2026. Zach, thanks for joining me. Welcome back to the podcast. Are you ready to unpack Expo?
I am. Thank you for having me, Elisa. First off, the numbers are impressive. Reports indicate that there were over 80,000 attendees and more than 3,000 exhibitors this year. Smirks was well positioned. We had booths in the Fresh Ideas Organic Marketplace, the Southern California IFT Suppliers Night, and then we were in Hall B in the main show in the organic section. So
Exactly. But to me, I imagine you might agree, what really stood out wasn't just the scale of this show, it was how intentional everything felt. I mean, ingredients are definitely working harder.
there was much less novelty and much more focus on function, efficiency, and how products actually perform. So let's get right into it. One thing we kept hearing over and over is protein and fiber. Well, let's be honest. That we saw a lot of protein last year. Is there anything new going on?
Yeah, I see a subtle shift here, but it's pretty important. It's not just about protein or fiber anymore. It's about how they're combined in smarter ways, especially as part of the whole fibermaxing movement.
Fibermaxxing. I've never heard of that term. Let's talk about it. What is fibermaxxing?
Basically, brands are stacking fiber types. So, for example, chia, flax, psyllium, even seed flowers to maximize gut benefits, satiety, and texture all in one bite. And they're combining that with protein sources, isolates like pea protein, whole food proteins like quinoa, pumpkin seeds, or amaranth, or sometimes collagen to enhance protein functionality.
So it's not just nutrition, it's functionality that achieves multiple outcomes.
That's right. These ingredients systems let you build protein and fiber into the product structure, enhance the mouthfeel and texture without extra stabilizers. They support gut health, and they reduce the need for added sugars while keeping the product satisfying. I mean, even nuts and seeds, almonds, cashews, pistachios, sunflowers, are multitasking. Protein, fat, texture, and fiber all at once.
Where else did you see this playing out as you were at the show?
Yeah, across categories, we're seeing protein pancakes packed with oat flour, pea protein, whey, and milk protein. High protein cereals using ingredients such as oat protein and sunflower protein, whey protein, and seed blends. Also noteworthy, there are nutrient-dense formats influenced by GLP-1, which are designed to help you feel full and satisfied. And across the board, gut health is still very much a consideration. Prebiotics, fibers, and fermentable ingredients are woven into many of these products.
So protein, fiber, and gut-friendly ingredients aren't just trendy buzzwords anymore. They're real workhorses. Brands are stacking them together so the product or snack actually keeps you full, supports your digestion, and tastes good too.
Exactly. It really appears that formulators are intentionally blending isolates, whole food proteins, collagen, and fiber to deliver a feeling of fullness, structure, and the gut benefits that you mentioned. I mean, some ingredients stand up well on their own, though, like lentils.
hmm
Lentils are now being used in really modern ways, which is really interesting to see, you know, partly due to their high protein and fiber content. So now we saw products like lentil chips and ready to eat lentil meals.
I noticed a lot of brands who were using lentils, whether it's in I even saw lentils being incorporated into ice cream, which I thought was, incredibly unique. So yeah, I definitely noticed a lot of different lentil applications.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, lentils. I mean, people are eating lentils, but I think they were probably due for a sort of a reboot because people had an idea, perhaps that, at least from my perspective, perhaps that they're a little bit old-fashioned.
Yeah.
but because I remember my grandmother making them, and I hadn't really necessarily incorporated them that much into my own diet. But now I'm seeing all these products out there, like we mentioned, that kind of make me want to go, well, what else can I do with lentils, or what else, what other products are out there that incorporate lentils because they are high in protein and fiber.
They check a lot of boxes, for what people are looking for right now. So,
Exactly. Well, shifting gears, Zach, it really felt like hydration products leveled up this year.
you're correct. Electrolytes expanded across two main formats, powders and then ready to drink beverages. Powdered electrolytes were everywhere, from stick packs to drink mixes. Brands were really leaning into clean label formulations, sometimes pairing them, with collagen or other functional add-ons. One ingredient that we saw popping up a lot was coconut water powder. The ingredient creates a perfect base for a lot of these electrolyte mixes. We also saw pink Himalayan salt utilized in a lot of the stick packs as well, which is a natural, mineral-rich ingredient, adding both flavor and electrolytes.
Yeah, this really must explain, Zach, why we're getting more and more inquiries for bulk coconut water powder, um, from my perspective. And how about the ready to drink products?
Coconut water was abundant this year in ready-to-drink hydration products. There were more brands of coconut water, coupling them with, tropical blends like mango, passion fruit, acai. So there was definitely a lot of that this year. And coconut water concentrate, I've noticed, has been a product that's popped up significantly.
Absolutely. I've noticed that as well. I mean, first off, to your point, there were more brands this year, even just of coconut water without any additives, I noticed. And then, as you mentioned, there were these brands that were coming up with these interesting combinations of different flavors going into the coconut water, which I found fascinating. It definitely seems like, to your point, that coconut water concentrate is a great option for these brands to be using.
Absolutely. And it's something that us at Smirks can supply as well. And the coconut water concentrate will offer cost savings over just standard coconut water, packed in drums. We see some brands incorporating coconut water concentrate to provide a sweeter flavor as well in their beverages without adding any, added sugar. So there's definitely some sweetness that you get from the coconut water concentrate. And we see that in many, larger brands today who are, you know, they have maybe 10% coconut water concentrate in their formulation, and that's enough to give it a really sweet flavor. So,
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how this whole space has evolved. I mean, a while back, a Sri Lankan coconut water supplier told me that years ago, coconut water was really just a low-cost beverage that only the locals drank from the roadside stands. You know, they consumed it directly from the coconut. And a lot of the coconut water was actually being discarded back then, when they were processing the coconuts to make like desiccated coconut or to get the oil from the coconut. So, you know, it really wasn't until like the 2010s that the coconut water was really being packaged. And now, of course, we're seeing it in Tetra Pak, aluminum, plastic, and glass bottles. So, I mean, there's such a variety of different formats for it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's coconut water. It's the best.
yeah, that's hard to imagine, since coconut water and coconut water powder are in such high demand nowadays to imagine that they were just a byproduct, at one point. In the beverage category, energy is also coming into play with protein energy drinks, matcha and moringa formats, and more brands with functional shots are appearing on the shelves. And functional shots aren't just about immunity. They're tiny powerhouses for energy, gut health, inflammation, or even stress and sleep support. Just a little sip, and you're targeting exactly what your body needs. We also saw pickle juice for muscle recovery, which I thought was interesting. And another interesting ready to drink product that we saw was ready to drink horchata. A fun fact, in Spain, they used to use tiger nuts as the base for horchata, but in Mexico, rice is more commonly used to make it, since tiger nuts aren't widely available in Mexico. Um, I think a few of the horchatas that we saw were using almond milk as the base, which was a new play on the beverage.
Yeah, so, such an interesting array of beverages. So hydration, energy, and function, they seem like they are all merging.
Exactly. Hydration is no longer basic. It's packed full of function.
Zach, another trend I couldn't help but notice. Dates were everywhere.
Everywhere. And they were not in just one format.
But what stood out the most for you?
I think candy was a big one. Um, Date-based sour candies in flavor like blue raspberry or watermelon, which I have never seen before. We even saw date coffee, a combination of dates and coffee. It's easier on your stomach and it tastes great. A lot of people don't like that bitter black coffee, and when you add dates into it, it can be quite pleasant.
Oh, I mean, such an interesting combination. I totally agree. It was delicious. And how about on the snack front with dates?
Stuffed dates, I noticed, were huge. Nut and nut butter stuffed dates, and that's a full system. Sweetness from dates, protein and fat from nuts, and fiber from both.
Great combination there. What other date products caught your attention? I know there were more.
Yeah, I mean, we saw date paste, syrups, and sugars being utilized in formulations, not just finished products. Brands are using them to build layered sweetness systems that reduce refined sugar. Dates bring natural sweetness, binding, and fiber. So there's a lot of benefit from adding dates into your application. Date sweetened chocolate and chocolate chips are an example. And part of the appeal for formulators is how dates show up on labels. In some cases, dates used as a sweetener may not need to be claimed on the nutritional panel as added sugar. And that can help a product feel cleaner to consumers, even though the total sugars still appear on the nutritional facts. That said, you still want to consult the FDA guidelines carefully to make sure that you're in compliance. Shifting gears, how about on the alternative dairy front? It seems to keep evolving, and it's definitely more complex than almond or oat milk.
Right. I mean, beyond oat milk and almond milk, we're seeing pistachio, pecan, watermelon seed, and multi-source blends, including combining roasted soybeans with nut milks. Formulators are combining cashews and macadamia for creaminess, almonds and oats for structure, coconut milk and coconut cream for stability. Also new, we discovered corn and chickpea-based milk, which also contained coconut oil in its ingredient deck. You know, it's no surprise that, once again, coming back to kind of the inquiries that Smirks gets, we're certainly getting a lot more inquiries for coconut cream and coconut milk and coconut oil. These are definitely in the mix. But on the oat milk side, even though it's not new, we saw an eco-friendly flat oat milk sheet, which requires 94% less packaging. So an interesting concept. Apparently you soak it overnight or you hydrate it and you blend it at home.
Yeah, I mean, that's seriously innovative. You see a lot of stuff at the show, and it's kind of a little knockoff of something you saw last year. But the oat sheets is something I just have never totally blew my mind, coming across those things. So, like you said, there's plenty of ways coconut milk powder is being used, or coconut in general seems to be very, very much active. But coconut milk powder, we notice being utilized in non-dairy inclusions in ready-to-drink beverages, also, as well as used in powder form for coffee creamers, in protein mixes, and bakery mixes as well.
No, absolutely. This category of coconut is not only big for Smirks, but it is all over that Expo West floor.
Yeah, and
There's
you
no
wonder if
question about it.
that coconut's no longer considered a tree nut allergen. So I think a lot of brands are also much more comfortable using coconut, whereas you rewind, 5 years ago, that might have not been the case. So
That's a great point that kind of escaped me because that was a little while ago, but you're right. And now we're seeing that maybe that's starting to pick up here in terms of a trend. Uh,
Right.
if we shift gears again, I gotta say, Zach, there was so much more meat at this show.
Absolutely. I mean, we're used to the fake meats, or as they say, but actual meat
Plant-based
is
meats, yes.
plant-based meats. Yes, we're definitely real meats seem to be having their moment now. We saw it last year, but meat sticks and savory protein innovation is expanding. Meat sticks and bone broth. Going back on the meat stick side, it isn't about plant-based meat. These are real meats using chicken, different flavors to kind of create a new product for consumers who are looking for a quick, easy bite of protein, as they go about their day.
No, absolutely. I saw, like you said, chicken and more turkey options to go along with the original beef and pork that we typically see. And flavor innovation is really stepping up. I mean, smoky chipotle, honey barbecue, herb blends, maple sweetened, to name just a few. I'm sure you saw some more too, and now they're just popping up, at the retailers on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, the innovation is definitely there on the meat stick side. What's also interesting is that Smirks is working with some meat stick companies, supplying them with coconut aminos to create a enhanced umami flavor without adding the soy allergen. We also saw collagen-rich bone broth continue to be relevant. Functionality and new flavors, including added mushrooms, coconut, and turmeric. These are definitely new things that stuck out to us this year as we observed the meat stick category. So
Really interesting. So whether it's a meat stick or a cup of bone broth, the trend is clear. I mean, function, flavor, and creativity all working together.
and gut health is also still very strong, but it felt more integrated.
Yes, I mean, it felt like less of a headline, more of just the baseline for products, right? I mean, I'm going to name off some products. I mean, prebiotic chocolate, sodas, organic smoothies with flax and chia, fermented drinks like kombucha, but now available in powder form, gluten-free brownies with flax and chia incorporated, and added also into snack bars and functional puddings. Psyllium as a binder and texture system for gluten-free tortillas and crackers. We're seeing psyllium, flax, and chia are supporting gut health while adding structure and stability to the product.
Yeah, and we can't ignore the continued explosion of mushrooms, in coffee, snacks, broths. I mean, almost any product you can imagine, you'd find something there that had mushrooms somehow incorporated in it.
Absolutely.
But the global flavors also remain strong. I noticed, Mexican, Asian, Middle Eastern, and more. Um, and how about sour as a flavor driver? There were sour candies, probiotic drinks, gummies, yogurts, dates, and bars. Sour definitely had a much larger place, I would say, than previous years. It seems to be something that consumers are reaching for.
Right. The sour trend is real, achieved in different ways. I mean, including naturally with fruit powders. Did you ever contemplate how sour foods can actually be functional?
Not really, but tell me more.
Yeah, so professional athletes, including Olympic downhill gold medalist skier Michaela Schifrin, eat sour candies prior to competition. That sour flavor triggers the alertness, which stimulates saliva and provides a quick glucose boost. It can spark intense focus. Michaela isn't alone, as sour snacks are said to be used by other ski racers, track and field athletes, baseball players, and hockey players too.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, what about the other, what about the average consumer who is not a pro athlete?
Yes, the beauty of the sour product is that by stimulating saliva and triggering the trigeminal nerves in the mouth, it's a wake-up signal for the brain. This translates into a boost without the need for caffeine. So, I mean, this could be great for anyone. I mean, maybe a study hack for college students.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, usually, I wake up, have a strong cup of coffee, and I was going through this routine where I would take a cold shower as well, just to kind of boost myself, and maybe some sour candy is what I need in my morning routine. Now that I think about it.
Gotta find those sour dates, right? Uh, well, hey, did you notice also that matcha was prolific at this show? Um, to me, I mean, of course, so many people have now got matcha in their routine. They're ordering it either hot or cold at their
Hmm.
favorite coffee and tea shop as their drink of choice, and the flavor is super popular. But now, I mean, you see it infused into many different beverages and with different flavors stacked on it, like strawberry, I noticed, and snacks and even waffles. That
I
was pretty
definitely
interesting.
noticed a lot of matcha, and some of the brands would call out the ceremonial grade. But a lot of the industrial applications, like the bakery items and whatnot that we saw, I believe they use more of an industrial grade for the matcha. So it's interesting to understand that, matcha has a very wide range of quality, depending on the application. So I thought it was very interesting. Some people incorporating like the ceremonial matcha into some of these snack products.
That's definitely interesting because there's definitely a premium price point on that. And the people
Mhm.
that are in the know about the ceremonial grade understand that it is the highest quality and you don't need very much of it and you don't want very much of it because it's very intense, but it has its own uh, special qualities and special flavor for sure. Mochi, if when we're talking about products from Japan, I mean, mochi was having a moment too. It's not just mochi ice cream anymore, which we've seen for a while, but mochi pancakes and waffles too.
I did notice that. We noticed some other trends at Smirks, but it came alive at Expo West. The seed oil free call out was prevalent. Seed oil is being replaced by avocado, coconut oil, and beef tallow, it seems.
Yeah, I predict seed-free is still in its infancy stages. I think that this is just the beginning. And simplified ingredient decks, non-UPF positioning, that is ultra processed, were
Mhm.
highlighted too. Whole food ingredients truly shine. I mean, nuts, seeds, grains, coconut, for label simplicity and functionality.
So, Expo 2026 in a nutshell?
Consumers want function, but they don't want to compromise. The bar is higher.
Right. Protein, fiber, hydration, gut health. They want it all, tasting and feeling like real food.
And we're seeing smaller sized portions gearing toward GLP-1 diets and, to some extent hitting a certain price point may be at play as well.
Formulators are tasked with delivering function, experience, and clean label integrity. Multitasking ingredients, seeds, grains, nuts, collagen, and coconut, are essential.
Yes, taste, texture, and nutrition are all aligned.
So it's function without compromise. Taste, texture, and nutrition are the baseline.
And yet, the more complicated the criteria, the simpler the ingredients. I mean, because at the end of the day, there's so many staple ingredients that are really able to do the heavy lifting, including nuts, seeds, grains, and coconut products that we just mentioned.
This discussion reminds me, it's a lot of fun to work on opportunities to help formulators with ingredients to help meet their functionality goals. Whether it's chatting about a new idea, sending product specifications, price indications, or samples, or just getting customers connected with our quality team to receive the quality documents they need. We're here to help. we encourage our listeners to reach out if we can help with ingredients or just be a sounding board. And if we don't have what someone is looking for, we'll do our best to connect them to a partner in the industry who does.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Zach, for helping me break down ExpoWest 2026. This has been a great conversation. By no means did we cover it all, but I think we touched on some of the highlights that we saw. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out by email at whatsnew@smirks.com. Thanks again for listening. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Elisa.